Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Channa Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Channa Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jam Vishnu Pad Padamamsa Parvajikacharya Astu Tarsata Sushimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jam Vishnu Pad Padamamsa Parvajikacharya Astu Tarsata Sushimad Sringa Guru Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Premjako Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Rukmini Dorkadish Ki Jai Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Srimati Subhadra Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yoga Ki Jai Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol All glories to all the Summa devotees Hare Krishna All glories to all the Summa devotees Hare Krishna All glories to all the Summa devotees Hare Krishna all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Goswami Prabhupada Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a new chapter from the third canto, chapter 12. It's entitled Creation of the Kumaras and Others. So the topic we'll be discussing is, of course, creation. So there's actually two verses, and they're describing the beginning of the chapter. I'll read the first one myself, and then the second one we'll chant together. Text number 1. Maitreya vacha iti te varnitakshata kalakya paramatmanaha mahima veda garbhota katashraksin nipodame. Sri Maitreya said, O learned Vidura, so far I have explained to you the glories of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his feature of Kala. Now you can hear from me about the creation of Brahma, the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. Okay, text number 2. Sasarjagre Nandat Tamishram Sasargaje Radha Tamishram Ata Tamishram Adikrit. Mahimonan cha mahoyan cha Tamascha yagna vitaya Sasarjagrena Sasargajrenda Tamishram Atamamishram Adikrit Mahamoham cha Tamaschagna Vitaya Sasarjagrenda Tamishram Atatamishram Adikrit Mohamoham cha Tamaschagna Vitaya Sagarjena Tamishram Mahamadamocha Ritaya Sankanjrenda Tamishram Tamishram Adikrit Vaishnavis Sagarjenda Tamishram Atatamishram Adikrit Mahom Moham cha Tamaschakna Vitayaha Sakarjare Manishra Atatamishram Adikrit Mahom cha Tamaschakna Vitaya. Sasarja created. Agre at first. Andatamishram, the sense of death. Ata, then. Tamishram, anger upon frustration. Arikrit, all these. Mahamoham, ownership of enjoyable objects. Cha, also. Moham, illusory conception. Cha, also. Tama, darkness in self-knowledge. Cha, as well as. Ajnana, nescience. Vrittaya, engagements. Translation. Brahma first created the nescient engagements like self-deception, the sense of death, anger after frustration, the sense of false ownership, and the illusory bodily conception or forgetfulness of one's real identity. Please repeat. Brahma first created the nescient engagements like self-deception, the sense of death, anger after frustration, the sense of false ownership, and the illusory bodily conception or forgetfulness of one's real identity. Purport. Before the factual creation of the living entities in different varieties of species, the conditions under which a living being in the material world has to live were created by Brahma. Unless a living entity forgets his real identity, it is impossible for him to live in the material conditions of life. Therefore, the first condition of material existence is forgetfulness of one's real identity. And by forgetting one's real identity, one is sure to be afraid of death. Although a pure living soul is deathless and birthless, this false identification with material nature is the cause of false ownership of things which are offered by the arrangement of superior control. All material resources are offered to the living entity for his peaceful living and for the discharge of the duties of self-realization in conditioned life. But due to false identification, the conditioned soul becomes entrapped by the sense of false ownership of the property of the Supreme Lord. It is evident from this verse that Brahma himself is a creation of the Supreme Lord, and the 5 kinds of nescience which condition the living entities in material existence are creations of Brahma. It is simply ludicrous to think the living entity to be equal with the Supreme Being when one can understand that the conditioned souls are under the influence of Brahma's magic wand. Patanjali also accepts that these are 5 kinds of nescience, as mentioned herein. Jai. Om Gyana Tamadandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshushamanitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sapatamena Bhutale Swayam Upakadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakopa Tubhischa, Kripasindu Bevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. So the verses again. Sri Maitreya said, O learned Vidura, so far I have explained to you the glories of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his feature of Kala. Now you can hear from me about the creation of Brahma, the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. Brahma first created the niscient engagements like self-deception, the sense of death, anger after frustration, the sense of false ownership, and the illusory bodily conception or forgetfulness of one's real identity. So just to give you a little summary of this chapter, give you an idea what's going to be involved here. You can see a little breakdown here. It talks about, sorry I brought my wrong glasses, but he talks about the first part here is what we're discussing today, the 5 agyata vrittis, which is the 5 creations, forms of ignorance here. So we'll see here in this particular chapter, there's certain things that we see that happens here. First, we see Brahma becomes displeased because he creates the 4 Kumaras and he wants them to create progeny, and they become disobedient. And then because of that disobedience, Brahma becomes angry, and from Brahma's angry, Rudra is born from between his eyebrows. And what happens is that Lord Brahma becomes disturbed. So then he tells Rudra to stop, because he created all these Rudranis and other expansions of himself. He started to destroy the universe. So he told them to stop and to just perform penance. So then Brahma creates other manifestations, and then what happens is actually Brahma also becomes distracted. He actually becomes attracted towards his daughter Vak. So this is when the sons of Brahma tried to persuade him to not do this. But then finally he gave up that mentality, became ashamed, and then he created other divisions of creation, like different ashrams and different sages. But still he found out it was deficient. So he from his own body, he created Swaivabhuva Manu and Satarupa. And then from them, they created all the different living entities in the universe. So that just gives you a bird's eye view of what's happening. So as you can see here from this image, these are the 5 kinds of ignorance that's described there. And this is where Brahma, from these things, he became displeased. There's self-deception, fear of death, anger after frustration, sense of false ownership, and the bodily conception. So he didn't like the idea of putting people in ignorance and making them suffer, actually. So he created the 4 Kumaras and wanted them to create progeny, and they became disobedient. So then what happened is Rudra was born from right between his eyebrows. And then this is where Rudra's progeny started devouring everything. And this is how Lord Brahma became disturbed. And he told him to stop and just perform penance. So, and then here we see other various manifestations were created from Lord Brahma's body, like the 10 sons headed by Marichi, and he created karma dharma, different dharmas, factors, and this is where he created his daughter, who became distracted by his daughter named Vak. And there's an interesting verse and purport in the same canto, but the 20th chapter. And this is something similar happened. And this is where Lord Brahma also was in distress because of some of his creations. And so the Lord, this is the verse, who can distinctly see the minds of others, perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, "Cast off this impure body of yours." Thus commanded by the Lord, Brahma cast off his body. So this is an interesting purport Srila Prabhupada says here that whenever one fully surrenders to the Supreme Lord, one finds that He is sitting within one's heart. He can give us direction how to get out of dangers or how to approach Him in devotional service. The Lord, however, asked Brahma to give up his present body because it had created the Dvaniyak principle. So he gave up his body, but according to Sridhar Swami, Brahma's constant dropping of his body does not refer to his actually giving up his body. Rather, it suggests that Brahma gave up a particular mentality. So mind is a subtle body of the living entity. So this is a good example for us, because he created these different types of mentality of thinking that we're a body, that we're fearful of different things. But if we actually learn to change our thoughts, then we could change our life, actually. So there's another verse in this same chapter, 20 of the 3rd canto. And it says here, first of all, Brahma created from his shadow the coverings of ignorance of conditioned souls. They are 5 in number and are called Tamishra, Anda Tamishra, Tamas, Moha, and Moha, or Maha Moha. So this is what he created. First, this Tamishra, which means anger. And because of our misuse of our little tiny independence, then we began to think that I want to enjoy like the Supreme Lord. So they're saying, why should I not be able to enjoy like Him? So this is forgetfulness, and it constitutes the position, and it's due to anger and envy of the Supreme Lord. And then there's the Anda Tamishra, which involves considering death to be the ultimate end. And then atheists, they think that the body is the self and that everything is ended at the end of the body. So why not just enjoy now, eat, sleep, mate, and defend, whatever method, try to enjoy, because at the end, it's all finished. So, and then there's this Anda Tamishra is due to what? Tamas, which is ignorance. And this is what 90%, or Prabhupada says 99% of the living entities are ignorant that they are a spirit soul. But they're thinking that I am the body. So this is the thought pattern again. And this is what Lord Brahma had to create so that we could live here, to make us think that this is our home, this is our body, we have relationships here. So this misconception guides us to think that, this is my body, this is my family, this relationship is mine. And then we're guided by, as Prabhupada mentions in the purport there, we're just guided by sex life. It's the background of material existence. And then next is the moha, or illusion, of the bodily conception of life. That, I'm this body, everything belongs to this body is mine, and that it increases into our families, societies, nationalities, and then we fight with one another. And then there's the moha, maha moha, which means that we eventually become mad after material enjoyment. And especially in this age of Kali, everyone's overwhelmed by this madness just to accumulate more and more paraphernalia, more and more enjoyment. So this is where we see another time Lord Brahma created demons and they began to attack him. So again, he had to give off that body again, because his mind was absorbed in sinful thought, actually. It wasn't in correct order. So he created demons, and they were full of passion. And therefore they tried to actually attack Lord Brahma. So in this way he had to give up his body again. And he threw it off in the form of here, twilight. So we see the different creations from Lord Brahma's body. It's amazing. we see through this description here, this beautiful painting, that he has the Vedas there, the Upavedas, the Panchama Veda, the Karma Tantrams, the 4 legs of Dharma, the ashrams, the arts, Vedic meters. After he did all these things, he still saw deficiency. So from his body, that's when he created Swayambhuva Manu and Satarupa. And then they continued the creation from there. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport there that Patanjali also mentions these 5 kinds of ignorance in the Yoga Sutras. And the verse that is referring to is the Yoga Sutras 2.5. And it says, nescience is misjudging that which is non-eternal, the impure, the painful, and the not-self, to be eternal, the pure, the pleasurable, and the self. So that's described there. And there's a nice purport in the 2nd canto, chapter 9. Prabhupada talks about these types of ignorance. He said the material body is overcast by 5 kinds of miserable conditions. So these miserable conditions are these 5 kinds of ignorance. And it's ignorance, material conception, attachment, hatred, and absorption. As long as one is overwhelmed by these 5 kinds of material miseries, there is no question of entering into the Vaikuntha Lokas. And then another place, Srila Prabhupada said that another 5 kinds of miseries, which we've heard before, is pavarga. And we know that's the pa, fa, ba, ba, and ma. And that's described, Prabhupada describes that in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he said that it's these 5 kinds of suffering. And he says, pa means parishram, very hard labor. Pa means fena, or foam from the mouth. So sometimes you see a horse is running very fast and you see the foam coming. So this means very hard labor. And then ba means bartata, which means disappointment. So after all this work, you do so much labor, and then what do you find? It's not what I wanted. I'm not satisfied with it. So then ba comes from bhaya, or fear. So in material life, we're always in the blazing fire of fear because we don't know what's going to happen next. So we're fearful. And then ma means mrityu, or death. So when you attempt to nullify all these 5 things, this pa, fa, ba, ba, and ma, then you achieve apavarga, or liberation from the punishments of this material existence. So that's described there. So here we see we're talking about our thoughts and being responsible for our decisions and things we do. So in the 3rd canto, the 10th chapter, there's a nice purport Srila Prabhupada describes there, that the energy of the Lord is called avidya. It's a bewildering factor for the conditioned souls. So that avidya is ignorance. But if devotees, they engage in pure devotional service, this energy becomes vidya, or pure knowledge. So we see that. So that's confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. So what happens is the energy of the Lord transforms from Mahamaya to Yogamaya, and appears to the pure devotees in her real feature. So he says here, the material nature therefore appears to function in 3 phases: as the creative principle of the material world, as ignorance, and as knowledge. So in the 4th creation, the power of knowledge is created. That's described in that chapter 10 of the 3rd canto. The conditioned souls are not originally fools, but by the influence of avidya, function of material nature, they are made fools. Thus they're unable to utilize knowledge in the proper channel. So what happens by the influence of ignorance, we forget our relationship with Krishna. and we become overwhelmed by this attachment, hatred, pride, ignorance, false identification, and then we come into this material bondage. So this is all being described throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, and shows how we become attached to these things. But unless we take shelter, it's just shown here, of a spiritual master, and we advance further, then we will end up coming under the influence of these 5 forms of ignorance, which are shown here, which we fall down into this particular chapter. So there's an interesting thing said by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Jaiva Dharma. And he said the quality of free will naturally to Sri Krishna is therefore innate to the constitution of the jiva and microscopic in content. So that's our minute independence. When the jiva makes proper use of his independence, he remains connected with Sri Krishna. But by misusing of his independence, he disassociates himself from the Lord and is attracted to exploiting and enjoying material nature, developing the despicable quality of false pride. He thinks, I am the enjoyer of everything I survey. Thus the 5 levels of nescience: tamishra, rebellious rejection of the Lord's service; anda tamishra, considering death to be the ultimate conclusion; tamas, ignorance of one's position as a jiva; moha, the illusory bodily conception of life; maha moha, attachment for material enjoyment; cloud, the pure spiritual consciousness of the jiva, the sole cause of why the jiva becomes either liberated or conditioned, lies in the proper or improper use of his minute independence. So just see, just by changing your thinking, changing the direction of your thoughts, you could either become conditioned or you could become liberated. So this is very interesting. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or this is from Srila Vishnava Chakravarti Thakur. He describes this, he says, according to the degree of the ignorance present in the living entity, his jnana is veiled proportionately. And he describes them here. He says, avidya, ignorance, to mistake that which is impermanent to be permanent, that which is full of misery to be full of bliss, that which is pure or impure to be pure, and what is not the self to be the self. So this is just here being confirmed all throughout these types of ignorance and mentioned in different ways. Asmita, he describes here, as false ego, our bodily identification of I and mine. And raga, attachment, the desire for material happiness and those means that will give it. Dvesa, hatred, aversion to unhappiness or the cause of unhappiness. So that's hatred. And abhinivesha, absorption in the body as the basis for sense gratification and fear of death. So just see here how the way we think, we become bound. And it's simply described in, even they describe, we have some life skills. So they say some life skills you should develop is to get control of your self-thoughts, how you speak to yourself. Like a lot of times people don't even realize, but they're thinking, oh, I'm so ugly, or I can't do this, or this and that. And they actually get affected by these things because they forget that actually they're a spirit soul. They're full of knowledge, they're full of bliss and all these things. So in the same way we're identifying with our body, thinking, oh, I'm this body, and I have to act according to this body. But no, we're actually spiritual beings, completely apart from this body. So there's this verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Savasya chahamriti sanivisto matasmitir jnanam aponam cha vedascha sarva aham eva vedyo vedanta kriyat veda ved eva chaham. How Krishna is seated in everyone's heart, and from him come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness, and by all the Vedas he is to be known. Indeed, he says, I'm the compiler of the Vedanta, and I'm the knower of the Vedas. So Krishna is there, even though we're in this material creation. Krishna has given us the opportunity, as described in the purport, that we have all the conditions we need to live comfortably and to attain our spiritual realization. And he's in the heart guiding us in that way. And that's very nicely described in the purport to that verse in the Bhagavad Gita. So, just one thing I'd like to mention from that. How Srila Vishnavata Chakravarti Thakur explains that, according to this verse, just as the fire of digestion is within the stomach, I am situated in the hearts of all moving and non-moving beings as the principle of intelligence. Indeed, from me, the intelligent principle comes remembrance of things once experienced, forgetfulness and perception born from contact of the senses and their objects. Having thus described how he helps living entities in a bound condition, he next states in the words beginning, by all the Vedas, how he helps them attain liberation. So see, Krishna will give us all facilities here in this material world to forget him, but also he's given the facility to also remember him. So there he is. He comes as a super soul, the Vedas, the spiritual master. These all help us to remember Krishna. And there's this one nice verse I'd like to refer to here from the 8th canto. And this is how, in distress, he was, as a super soul, reminded him of his previous life. So this is his prayer. Since an animal such as me has surrendered unto you, who are supremely liberated, certainly you will release me from this dangerous position. Indeed, being extremely merciful, you incessantly try to deliver me. By your partial feature as Paramatma, you are situated in the hearts of all embodied beings. You are celebrated as direct transcendental knowledge, and you are unlimited. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this just shows that Krishna's there, and Krishna's given the opportunity for us to surrender somehow or another. That even though everyone is described to be in this material world as a pasu, an animal. If you're in the body conception of life, you're considered to be an animal. And there's a verse, it's described there, that a human being who identifies the body made of 3 elements as the self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsmen, who considers the land of his birth to be worshipable, and who goes to a place of pilgrimage simply to bathe rather than to meet men of transcendental knowledge, there is to be considered to be like a cow or an ass. That's a pasu, an animal. So we're all attacked by these crocodiles, of material existence. So we can get help from this suffering and these consequences of that. And ultimately, we'll go back home, back to God by taking shelter. So I'd like to end with a nice prayer by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Kalyana Kalpataru. And this is Song 5. And this is the remedy, he entitles it, for Mayavad and misery. So we know the causes of misery, right? There are 5. So here's the remedy for that. So he says, my dear mind, all I can see is unlimited material miseries and difficulties. On all sides, especially there are 5 troubles: ignorance, distraction, inability to concentrate, misdirected love, and impurity. There's a few verses. The affliction of these 5 miseries result in continuous degradation in the following ways. Avidya, ignorance, makes me completely forgetful of my nature as pure spirit soul. Asmita, conceited, egoistic pride caused me to be distracted from the real essence of life. 3, abhinivesa, I have become deeply absorbed in trivial pursuits. Raga, I have developed love and attachment to things which are averse to pure God consciousness. And dvesa, my soul has become filthy and polluted by nasty qualities. And then he says, due to these distracting troubles, I am forgetting my real home in the spiritual world, the eternal land of no anxiety, and I become completely mad by frantically trying to enjoy all the so-called enjoyments offered by Maya's illusions. Thus I surround myself with so many misconceptions of me, me, me. O mind, my dear brother, just see how my heart has become full of so much anxiety due to constant worries about this is mine, this is mine. I am searching for the remedy to cure this material disease of being tortured by Yamaraj. But oh no, I've met a doctor who is no better than Yamaraj at all. This doctor has given me the prescription. I am Brahman. Maya is false. But now when I see the result of this so-called medicine, I feel unbearable anxiety in my conscience. On one side, I feel great difficulty and grief from the 5 material miseries. And on the other side stands a corrupted doctor, the Mayavadi, who is just like another Yamaraj. How will I ever be able to get freed from being stuck between these tormenting agonies? There's only one remedy. That is, if I will simply take complete shelter of Lord Chaitanya, who is known to be the most merciful, then only will I easily cross over this ghastly calamity. So that's beautiful. So I learned a really nice prayer in Govardhan when we went to Govardhan retreat. And many of you might know this prayer. And it goes, Namaste Girirajaya, Govardhanaya Namine, Asesha Klesa Nasaya Paramananda Dayane. So that's Namaste Giriraj. I offer my respectful obeisances to Giriraj, the king of mountains. Govardhan Namine is named Govardhan. Asesha Klesha Nasaya, that he destroys unlimited afflictions. And Paramananda Dayane, and he bestows the highest bliss. So it's, the translation could go, I offer my obeisances unto the king of mountains, whose name is Govardhan. He destroys unlimited miseries and bestows the highest bliss. So Krishna is within, is without. He comes in the form of the Vedic literatures, but he also appears on this world in different pastimes and different forms. And one of them is Govardhan. And this is what Govardhan does. So, and then what I did is I put together a little slideshow if you guys want to see. Whoever has time, they could stay and see some. But this is what where we stayed at the Govardhan Retreat Center in Vrindavan. It's right at the foothill of Govardhan Hill. And when you look from the roof, it looks like it's actually right next to it. But there's a road here and things between it. This is actually a Govardhan Shila they brought from Govardhan. These other rocks are just rocks. But this is, you can see the retreat center behind us, behind there. That's where we stayed in the ashrams there. This was the Govardhan retreat poster that they had. So this slideshow is based on the Govardhan Parikrama I went on. And we walked about 17 miles. And there's different deities along the path that are described. But I'm just going to go through them quickly. Don't really have time to describe too many of them or discuss. But this is the first thing, light break, we stopped at Uddhavakund. This is Uddhavakund. Now, some places here you can't really see Govardhan because it's at the foothill. But as you walk, we get closer, you can see Govardhan more and more. So just showing you the beauty of the area and the different temples in the area. You're familiar? Yeah. This. Yeah. Beautiful cows. This is our parakram going around. It's a rickshaw. He was carrying our items that we didn't want to carry, following us along the path. I think it's Pancharatna. He was leading it. So you see some of the Brajabasis here. All these stones, they take one stone to put up their pay obeisances. Some of them offer prayers, and then they offer another stone to pay obeisances, and they do that. How many stones there are? Usually 108, sometimes 50 something. And they do that, and they move a little, and then they do it again and again, and they go around Govardhan. And they practically spend their life doing that. Different places here, all around Govardhan, you see people are selling things and have pictures of Prabhupada and all kinds of things. So they appreciate different temples. I think this is from the Gaudiya Math temple. These are different deities. This is at Radhakund. And this is the deity, I think, that they found, the original deity. Everywhere you go, there's different. This is Radhakund here. And see, even in Radhakund, he's reading the newspaper, and he sees Black Friday sale on the paper there. If you want beads, this is a place to get beads. Any kind of beads you can imagine. So different views and different deities around the Kund. This is one special samadhi here. I forget if it's Rupa, Raghunath. Another Kund on the outside. I'm in a samadhi. Yeah. So this is still Radhakund. Let's give you a flavor of the area. Schoolboys. It's all powder. There's another sadhu doing his obeisances. This is where we took our lunch. It's a Parakram Road. It's a special place. They serve prasadam. Prabhupada set up there. This is their deities. Very beautiful place. Here's another sadhu. Sri Prabhupada Clinic. And you know where that is, right? Kusum Srovia. We sat there and they kind of did an impromptu skit or like a play depicting the pastimes of Krishna. Yeah, and this is people were taking. It's a beautiful temple here that the sadhu actually gave it to an ISKCON devotee. He passed away, and she maintains it very nicely. This is inside of it. There's another Sadhu. We even see women doing that also. This is interesting. Look at this priest and what he's wearing. The fashion, the Western fashion is becoming more and more in the East for the priest wearing. This is very interesting. It's another place, special place here. Samadhis. Another kund. Forget the name of this one. Govind. You sure? Okay. Yeah, the Haridev temple. Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's right around, this is right around there. We're going around the Manasi Ganga. And this is the Haridev temple. Yeah? Yeah, Lord Chaitanya visited there. There's Govardhan. Everywhere you go, there's statues of Hanuman and yeah, this is where they have a samadhi for Tamal Krishna Maharaj. I think it's one of these. I think that's it, right? We didn't get to stay there much. We just stopped here to take a break. There's some Shilas there. This Russian devotee, he actually was drinking it with his hand. Yeah. It's supposed to be pure. They use it to clean the altar, the urine and the cow dung. So he was drinking it. So this is going around the hill. There's a beautiful path, like a path like this around Govardhan. There's some parts it's like that. Other parts you can see we had to go through the city of Govardhan, making some sugarcane juice. Now we're getting close to the other side of the Govardhan. Give you the mood and the flavor. These cow patties are very valuable. And there's another kund. It's by the Nrsingadev temple there. You remember? Yeah. It's my first time there. Actually, this is, no, this is before that. This is another kund. This might be Govinda Kund. Yeah. There's a beautiful place there. Yeah. And then you can see really beautiful, right next to that kund, there's Govardhan is right there. So we had some discussion there, and then the cows came. Yeah, he's a good speaker, and he tried to put on a little couple dramas. The one at Kasum Sorovia, he did a little drama there. These devotees are from Europe, where I forget the name of the temple, but very nice. Giving instructions to our rickshaw guy. So here's Govardhan. Look at this is Govardhan Hill. There's so many beautiful scenes there. Some of these I didn't get through in edit these, but just towards the end here. Just to give you an idea of the beauty and to get the darshan of Govardhan. Asesha klesa nasaya. He releases of all unlimited miseries. So here, yeah, this is towards the end now. I just left a lot of pictures on here. I could have went through a lot of these, but it's coming through okay. This is the Nrsingadev temple. Yeah, your Guru Maharaj gave a donation for this temple. Yeah. They have a plaque there with his name that I think he helped build something around there. Yeah. He renovated it, did something there. He helps a lot of temples there. So see, that's the other end of the Govardhan hill there. We're looking down from the Nrsingadev temple. Yeah, and then there's some other kunds here. I don't know if you remember the names, but it's like my first time there. So, and I didn't get a chance to write them all down for you guys. Oh yeah, I think so. But anyway, it gives you guys an idea of Govardhan. And that's just the parikram. I mean, I have other pictures and other images. But just see the beauty of Govardhan. And you see some of the Brijabasis, the kids are actually playing on the hill. You know, and you see cows and goats. No, the Brijabasis, they live right there. They're like houses right here on the side of the thing. That's where they play. The deity? I'm not sure. Yeah. There's people walk up there. See this deity, that temple there, you mean? Yeah. Yeah, so devotees don't go up there. No. Oh, really? No, I didn't see him. But the monkeys in Govardhan are nice. They don't steal your glasses. Just in Vrindavan. They're mean. They'll steal your phone, your glasses. I mean, I was taking mine off, but I was on a rickshaw. And we just stopped for a minute, and a monkey came and took my glasses. Yeah, right from the rickshaw. And it was so smooth, I didn't even feel him take them off. He took them off more smooth than I take them off. Yeah, fruity, fruity, fruity. And then he dropped them. And on his jumping to another place, so he dropped him. Yeah, yeah. There's some other beautiful scenes. Anyway, some of these I just left in here. I didn't get a chance to. Yeah, that's what I showed in the beginning. The retreat there. I have a video of it if you want to see, but It's up to you guys. But here we are, we're just ending. This is pretty much the end. Here's someone ecstatic to see the Harinam. She came running. Brijavasi. This is near the retreat, walking down the path. So that's it. But yeah. I have a video of the, do you want to see the video of the? Let's see which one it is now. Yeah. Oh yeah? Who distributed? Vaisheka distributed books on the marg. See the Govardhan Hill right behind it? That's Govardhan Hill. That's how close the Govardhan Retreat Center is to Govardhan. I was on the roof there. And of course, between here and the Govardhan, there's a road and there's some other buildings, but it looks like it's right next to it. The ISKCON temple? Yeah, on the side of Govardhan. Yeah, that's way on the other end of Govardhan, yeah. These are beautiful. It's like we were like almost the first ones to stay in this new buildings. It's really nice. Really nice modern facilities there. I mean, they're still under construction. Some things weren't done yet and things, but still, it's nice. Yeah, yeah. You had to stay other places. They had to rent places. But this is our own property. All by Gaudacandra Prabhu and Sachinandana Swami. Even the top there, that's where we had the kirtans. Yeah, I didn't show the back side, but the back side of this. Yeah, we went to Tarakadamba. I chanted 72 rounds. Yeah. 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 Yeah, I got some pictures of that too. But I have so many pictures. It's amazing. I don't think so. This is the back side of where I was showing, which I like because it shows these little, like, huts where devotees were staying there too. There's an ISKCON. It's like one room. It's pretty much. I don't even think. Yeah, they're really nice. So that's see, Govardhan is right there. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things. But here, there's so many beautiful Shilas. They had these on the altar during the festival. I don't know. Oh, this is nice. I don't know. The volume's down probably on the. I don't have the remote. This is where we're at the foot of Govardhan, having our classes during the Holy Name Retreat and the Govardhan Retreat, and different people were chanting. What's this devotee's name? I forget his name. No, this devotee right there. No, it's not. No, it isn't. No. This is an Indian devotee. Yeah. And it was nice. And Gira Swami was there. Yeah, so anyway, I just want to show you guys one more thing here. Yeah, this is a beautiful Shila. Actually, we asked Giraj Swami if it was possible for us to get a Govardhan Shila. And he said, well, you have to get him from a Brijabasi. And then Krishnangi gave him a quote that you can get it from your spiritual master or from a Brijabasi. So then he agreed. So he got us a Govardhan Shila that we brought home. So that's beautiful. So you have a question? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. She's asking why a lot of these pictures were never seen before that I use, in the BBT from the presentation. Because a lot of them didn't make the books. A lot of them didn't make the books. And then some of them, they don't use them very often. And there's some of the older printings, they had more pictures than the newer printings. But it's possible, you could go online under Krishna.com, under art, and you can see all the BBT images there. Yeah. And they also have all Prabhupada's images there, thousands of them, photographs. Yeah. So then you could get a number, and if you see one you like, you could give me the number and we could print it for you, or you can order it through them, whatever. So, but all these pictures, yeah, they're nice. Like, I don't know which picture you're referring to, but yeah, this is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I believe. I'm pretty good. This is when he was attacked by the demons, and he cast off the body, which became a twilight, and the demons were attracted to that because it's like a woman. Yeah, so this is not from BBT, this is from the internet. But you probably saw these. And this one you saw. I'm sorry? Oh, he jumped off of it? Oh, he chopped off the head. I don't know. I don't know about that. I just know this one where he came from his eyebrows between his eyebrows because he was angry. But yeah, I don't know that pastime. Yeah. Interesting. Well, thanks for your patience. And
So that makes it that Brahma actually has 5 heads then?
no. 4 heads, yeah. But some Brahmas have 8 heads, 10 heads, 1,000 heads. Huh?
The Brahma in this universe,
Yeah, 4 heads.
he never had 5.
No.
So that's incorrect past.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many things out there. But anyway, thanks for your kind attention. Hare Krishna.